me today to talk about government grants and why businesses should be applying for them is Ross Turetsky of Grant Solutions. Good morning, Ross.
Good morning, Fiona.
Ross, you deal with clients every day who come to you to handle their grants, and you take the time and energy and money they would have put towards that grant application. You handle all of that. Firstly, what's your company's success rate with your clients' grants? And secondly, what common mistakes do clients usually make with their grants?
Sure. Well, we've actually been quite fortunate. We have about 90% success rate with our clients. Mm-hmm. It's not a lot of clients, but the clients that we've had, we've actually gotten them the money.
Well done.
Yeah, well, it is 90.
That's your business model, so it's working.
We get the money. That's right.
And the mistakes?
And the mistakes, well, there's a couple of mistakes, but I'll mention the common ones. The first one is that most people don't actually assess their eligibility and how competitive they are with other applicants. People get really excited about government grants, and because of that, they usually jump in. But what they don't realize is that government has very, very specific objectives, and they have to really drill down into what government is trying to achieve, and if there is a match between what your project is about. So what happens is that people get excited, they start writing stuff. By the time it gets to the government, they eliminated the first cut. They see that they don't meet eligibility criteria, and that's it, which is really good for grant assessors as well, because hey, you know, there's 20% that they don't even have to look at.
Okay, so that's a common error. Would another one be that many businesses just look at grants as free money?
Oh yeah, so you want some free money? Well, here's some free money. Why don't I just
free money?
Why don't I just give you? There you go. See.
Oh, thank you, Ross. A new dress.
Oh, there you go. Oh, there's plenty of this where that came from.
So it's more than free money, isn't it? Is that a dangerous concept to go in with that in mind? Is that faulty thinking?
Oh yeah, very, very faulty. And in fact, most of the people who actually approach this concept, I turn them down. In fact, one of the qualifying questions is, how much money would you like to get? And if the person gets really excited and they say, I don't know, as much as possible, that's one of the telltale signs that I know that I'll probably not work with this client, because that person would like to just get money, but they don't understand the objectives of the government, which is to further a particular cause. So it's not free money just because the government is great, but it's free government to either make things greener, produce employment, or help small businesses in a particular area.
David and I applied for a number of grants when we ran a management consultancy called Dramatic Improvements, and I think we were successful on just about all of them. In fact, I think all of them. However, for us, we made a decision as a business down the track to stop applying for grants because we found it so time consuming, the acquittals, and just, you know, describing what you did with the use of the grant when you're actually doing it as well. We found that really hard work, and you probably needed twice the grant money to pay for, you know, all of that administrative load that you had. Is that the case still now? I'm looking back, you know, 9-10 years ago when we made that decision. Is it still quite administratively burdensome?
Yeah, it is. It is quite difficult, especially because the cost of applying for the grant is not covered. And the reason why the government does that is because it's more for risk minimization to ensure that the right people actually get the grant. They have created a bit of a small leeway. You know, they provide maybe 5 to 10% for administrative overhead, and sometimes, you know, a couple of $1,000s for accounting audit. Whereas normally the business would actually have to fund that out of their own money that is actually included of the project.
Okay.
But having said that, because
it doesn't quite cover it?
Well, not only doesn't it cover it, but generally, because most grants are actually made in a matching funding, even though the government pays 50% of that audit, you still have to pay
the other 50%.
The other 50%.
So you're doing that audit on their behalf, essentially, but paying 50% of it, of the cost of doing that.
That's right.
I know. It's slightly punitive as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a downside to everything.
I know this. Even if there is a free lunch, it's not free in all cases.
Are there any other common mistakes that a business who wants a grant will make if they don't have assistance, if they don't have someone with know-how helping them?
Well, the other most common mistakes is people don't actually place priority on grants. They think, oh, there's a lot of free money available, so I'll get to it when I have a little bit of time. Or even worse, they allocate it to a manager who probably has a lot of other things on his plate. So what happens is that the manager has a choice. They can either do the grant, which most people don't think that he will get anyway, or he can do his business as usual tasks, which have an influence on his bonus. Mm-hmm. So obviously he concentrates more on the tasks that relate to the bonus.
Yep.
And what happens is this grant is left to the last minute, and even when it is done, it's only completed just for the sake of ticking a box. Mm-hmm. And that business in particular would have almost zero chance of getting the money, because it just takes so much work.
Yeah.
People ask me what is the secret to success, and it's just a lot of bloody hard work.
Okay, Ross, just one more thing, because you've mentioned that you won't sign on anyone who contacts you. Describe for me then your ideal client. How does your ideal client come to you, and how do they look, and what are they doing?
Sure. Well, the ideal client, the three screening questions that I ask are typically, what is your turnover? How much money do you require? And do you have matching funding? And these three questions, they're very simple, but they screen 90 or 95% of the clients. Because my ideal client, they're actually an existing business, and they have some stable revenue, and they know their turnover. Okay, they can say it's $500,000 or $1 million, so they know that. When I ask them how much money do they want, they know the specific figure. The answer to a question is not as much as I can get. So they have a project in mind. It's very concrete, and probably the most important question of all is, do they have matching funding? Mm-hmm. It means, are they committed enough?
They invest company money to match whatever grant allocation they get. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And what that says to me is that this is a serious company. This is a company that is going to have some skin in the game, and they have something to lose. And in terms of selling that project to the government, it makes it so much easier, because the risk for the government is actually minimized. Mm. So if the project, if a minister gets hammered as to why this project failed, they can say, well, look, we did all the due diligence, and not only has the government invested the money, but the company founders were also committed, and they were very serious. Mm. So.
Yeah. And just quickly, what grant do you think businesses should be looking at the moment? What's out there on the radar that you think is worth a look?
Okay, well, there's actually 4 grants. So the easiest one to get is probably the export grant, mm-hmm. but that assumes that you're currently exporting. Mm-hmm. In that particular case, you can get up to 50% of your marketing expenditure back in cash. So that's the easiest one of all, because it's not competitive. Mm-hmm. There's also a couple of larger grants, such as the grant for manufacturers to make their facility greener. And there's also a grant for owners of commercial office buildings. Mm-hmm. That's the one that we've helped clients get over $1 million last year. we specialize in
that. So we should be buying some commercial buildings, should we? And then applying for a grant.
Yeah, that's right. Obviously there's more to it than that. Yeah.
That's a good space to be in.
If you can afford to buy a commercial office building, then you're in a good space already. Yeah, but and then the final one is Commercialization Australia, which is a brand new program that just came out 3 months ago, but it does require matching funding, and it is a little bit more complex and highly competitive, that particular one.
Ross, thank you for your time today.
Okay, no worries. Thank you very much.
I've been speaking to Ross Turetsky from Grant Solutions, who works directly with companies to make them more successful with their grant applications.